Hello, overclockers, and welcome. Oh, screw this. Where's EPIC when you need him?
Hello and welcome back to Valorant at EPIC39. I'm Chamberlain, joined by the wonderful Mido. I've been drafted in at the last second tier to cast. I thought I was done for the weekend, but I am back. You can't get rid of me, unfortunately, for your ears, but we've got a good game at least. So we're now quite deep into the bracket. We're now down into the penultimate game of the evening, and thus the third to last game for the whole event. Of course, for the actual teams, though. Do you want to take us through it? It's going to be Control versus Granny Knockers. What are you thinking about this one?
So we've got Control versus Granny Knockers, two teams that we've obviously seen today on stream.
Yeah.
Our first map is going to be on...
It's going to be on Ascent.
Yeah.
Is what I can confirm. We'll go to the map in just a second, but we'll not jump the gun, we'll not spoil it too much yet. You can wait for the second map. I'll keep you just on the edge of your seat for that. But in terms of the actual bracket, it is shaping up pretty spicy. Spicy because, of course, there was something, a bit of a shock and an upset that happened that we weren't expecting. Bleak, they lost to Yari in the other side, so they were expecting to have almost pretty much the whole evening off. They were even discussing maybe going out for a night out, and they lost, so they've had to wait around for the last 2 or 3 hours to get this game done, and then they will be meeting whoever wins this game in the lower bracket final. So that means that Yari, they're through into the grand final tomorrow. They have a full night and a full morning off to do whatever they please. So for this one, Granny Knockers, they have a chance to go through and get a rematch with Bleak. Of course, after losing 2 earlier on, we casted that game. So they'll be wanting to try and fix things in Control. They've kind of been I feel like they've been a kind of sleeper team. I've not seen much of them myself, so I feel like they've just been kind of plodding along and getting through, and they've found themselves in a good position at the minute.
Yeah. So from what I've seen is from casting a couple of the Control games, they look quite strong actually. Sometimes when they've been playing, they've come together as a team very well. Even though they're not the full Control roster, like the regular roster, they've got a bit of a mishmash of like content creators and like old friends and whatnot in there. But yeah, it's
well, anyway, we won't keep you in. We'll have a look at have a look at the maps and see where we're actually heading to. Of course, you said that we're heading to Ascent for the first one, which is the pick of Control. Second map, though, is the more spicier one. Is Granny Knockers, Fracture. They were there earlier on. We've got Bind as well for the Decider. We've seen a lot of Bind, so I'm not too surprised to see it coming through. It's more those first 2 maps that's going to provide a little bit more excitement. Of course, Granny Knockers, they tried something against Bleak earlier on with Fracture. They showed flashes of brilliance, but to be honest, it just was a bit lackluster. Hopefully they've kind of fixed what they needed to fix and they're going to give it a try, because we don't have many Fracture teams here at Epic.
Yeah, because Granny Knockers are the ones that picked Fracture early and then ran a Phoenix. And
yes.
it was interesting. I mean, they did sort of use Phoenix's utility for a reason, but it also kind of felt a bit like a pick that they just did maybe because they felt comfortable on Phoenix and maybe not because it was the best option. But we will see if that changes today and they've changed up their comp a bit, or if we're going to get another Phoenix.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I've had that a few times actually. I've had a few Phoenix surprises, and it's been used to great effect sometimes. We've had a lot of run it back action actually. Personally, from a personal point of view, I've seen a lot of run it back happening and being successful with it. You love to see them making a difference as well. We always love to see surprise agents coming through making a difference. The one to note earlier was we've seen the Gecko pick as well came through, and it was a really good one as well. So we're almost ready for the game. Won't keep you waiting too long. It looks as though we are going to have a look at the agent select. So Ascent, of course. Is there anyone you can expect to see? Is there anyone that you'd be surprised?
Sova. First insta-lock on the board, Sova from Crab. Ascent, it's got to be Sova's best map in the game. There's so many wallbang spots on Ascent where the recon dart just lands, light them up with the Odin, have an absolute whale of time. Sova, this Ascent is just it's his playground. Same with Killjoy. Killjoy's another like really staple agent for Ascent. Just the amount of control you can do on both sides of Killjoy is So useful. That turret provides so much utility. Just with intel gathering as well as just suppressing the enemy a little bit.
And is that a Phoenix is he again?
That's a Phoenix
that's a
on
Phoenix
the side
again.
of Control. That is not a Phoenix on the side of Granny Knockers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One strats against
Infamous
them kind of
Phoenix is
situation.
coming out. And yeah, KO is another pick who's pretty good on Ascent. Lots of lineups for him. Lots of really good places for the knife to be chucked. And yeah, Jet, classic pick for opping on mid. Really crucial part of Ascent is controlling the mid area, and Jet is fantastic at doing just that.
Well, we're almost ready to go. I'm excited to go with what is going to be my final map for this game. Well, final series, I guess, at Epic Land before I get to go and chill out for the rest of the day, because it's not me doing the grand finals. It'll be the wonderful Panda, who we've had on a few times. Maybe yourself. We're not 100% sure.
We're not 100%
We
sure.
are not. No, we've not decided how we're going to go about it tomorrow, but that'll be tomorrow at 12 o'clock for the grand final. Of course, this is the penultimate game for this evening. We're getting started a little bit earlier than what we were supposed to. It was initially scheduled for 8, so we've made good time today. So 7:30 start is pretty good going. Of course, then after that we do have one more game, one more best of 3 that's scheduled in for 10 o'clock. Could be pulled for a little bit earlier, depending on how the teams go, depending on how many maps this goes to. Of course, I'm hoping that it's a 3-map banger, because we've had a few that have been 2-0s, and it's not been the most amazing and most competitive experience so far. However, lower bracket. This is the first time I've done a lower bracket one, so there is a risk element, because whoever loses, they go home.
Exactly. It's all to play for both teams, Granny Knockers and Control, who have both showed strength, and I'd say are very fairly equal in skill level, wouldn't you say? It's definitely quite a fair matchup.
I would say so, yeah. Compared to the other games
earlier, where we thought Bleak are probably just going to take this one. Yeah, we're going to head straight in now.
Yes, we certainly are. Of course, pistol round, getting things up and running, and a little bit of a mishmash so far of who's selecting what. A couple of different ones, a couple of different preferences. I think I asked you earlier, what was your preference? I'm a ghost. Maybe sometimes a sheriff.
It depends on the
Depends on the map,
really.
I think.
Yeah, if I'm playing like Sage, I'll just go light armor with my classic, because then you can get the wall and the light armor.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing like a duelist like Jet, I just tend to just pick sheriff and go.
The thing for me is I tend to pick the ghost, despite being atrocious with the ghost. It's just because I like the sound of it and I like the way it plays. This is why I cast the game, and this is why I'm not a player. This is why I'm not playing on stage. This is not the type of thing that I would be into. I'm not exactly the most competitive. The blade goes out early on, and that will at least slow them down for now, but it doesn't even bother Aki at all. He's just wandering straight up mid and getting some early aggression towards that area, and Gogs is just round the corner waiting for it to come round. Slow walks round, no one really rushing to go for anything as of yet, and Gogs will be met with someone. That'll give away the position a little bit, because surely they'll know they're round this corner. Check the corner, make sure you can spot them out at Control, but Aki comes out on top. Gogs is felled with another bite back though from Stike, who evens up the odds here. Sarah Frags falls. Crab inside the smoke for now, and just looking and waiting for a chance to get something back for his team. As Stike finds Tiny, that's the Sova gone. And now we're on a 3 versus 4 situation. Hot Hands that'll go out, and that will at least slow it down a little bit. Henny will get the kill from it as well. Crab is killed off, and Stike with another one in the round. Counter with a shot too, and Phoenix is now the last one. Henny left in a 1 versus 3 situation, finds one, can clutch it up. No! Shut down. That's the first round. Going to be on the board here for the counter defuse coming through, and it is pretty much pretty standard stuff, I think, for the pistol round.
Around there, yeah, that's very common. Just controlling that mid area, control Esports, popping the dark cover down at the bottom of mid, just so they can ease their way through. Turret was just patrolling outside B main, so if anyone were to come out into the lobby, they'd be spotted. That was the downfall actually for Sarah Frags, as they did end up fighting 3 enemies at once.
Yeah, no idea.
Their demise. But as the team pushed on to A, the rest of Granny Knockers reconvened, pushing through Garden straight onto the site and taking them all out. Henny did find a couple good picks there, though.
Yeah, it's a good round. Good round to start things off, but now we start to get into the spacier ones. And I suspect that this will be a little bit quicker on the pace here, but I may be wrong. There's nothing that's quite happened as of yet, though. Jay teases a shot through mid, though, and does take quite a big piece of damage out of the Sova. Tiny now is just going to try and recover some of that lost the ground. He pushes through. Stike though is going to put Stike 2 into the dart. He's going to find Aki and Pavlovsky as well at the same time. Shuts down that push, and Jay with another one on the other side. Sarah Fragso finds 2 with the Sheriff. That's Gogs and Stike taken down, and we're in a 2 versus 3 scenario. The Phoenix and Killjoy are just chilling out, and now they have to feel things out for this round because they've lost quite a lot of their members very early on, and they have to try and figure out how they can claw this back. Then they're going to do that in a pretty strange way as Crab just turned their back on that push. Sarah Frags picking up their 3rd of the round. Counter though swings out though, and we'll find Henny for the reward. Misses the shots onto Sarah, but counter with a 2nd one, and that's it finished off. Granny's Knockers, they're going to take 2 rounds flush.
As we can see there, it's quite dangerous buying a rifle on that 2nd round, because as soon as Sarah Frags got their hand on that Phantom, that could have been game over for Control. Well, sorry, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. It's been an interesting start to the game, and a couple of different styles of play. We've got a couple of marshals juggling around. They can see they're not quite decided what they want to go for here, Granny's Knockers, and whether they want to commit to something as of yet. Of course, in the 3rd round, in the lead, pretty good situation for them as it stands. In terms of this setup though, Tiny sends out a recon bolt very early on, and Stike deals with it before it can even go off, so no information will be gathered, but that will at least give away the fact that there is at least some sort of presence in mid, because there's a full commitment here for Granny's Knockers, and Aki has the cross angle waiting for it, as they seem to be aggressing towards B. Granny's Knockers at this time though seem to be aware of it. They've rotated around and just slowly making their way towards that side, as Sarah Frags is the one in charge. The Killjoy at the front of this attack, the focal point for now, trying to just aggress towards that side and to B, but no one's going to go as of yet. There's not really any early aggression to come through. Gogs teases it out, a shoulder is shown there, and it's Sarah Frags to come out with 1-2, quick punch comes through as Crab, he finds Aki, Henny with one on Jane, Gogs onto Henny, shuts that down, Sarah Frags with another one, and it looks as though we're in a situation we haven't been in yet. There's a 3 versus 1 clutch, but it's going to be shut down before we can even start it up, as Stike is killed off, courtesy of Tiny, and Control find their 1st round on Ascent.
Yeah, Granny Knockers just trying something a little different there, popping the dark cover and tiles. Just trying to push up a little bit and clear some space in the middle, take control of that nice and early while they're at the gun disadvantage. However, this did allow Controls. They realised that the entire team was most likely pushing through mid, hearing a lot of footsteps coming through, allowing them to go through B main, quite uncontested. They did wait for a second, and then as soon as Granny Knockers came back, they were met with full force, and it was a bloodbath.
Yes, a little bit of a bloodbath. We'll have to see it. Generally is the case. But it's a slightly slower round again. Both teams are quite tentative today. I think that they're not really wanting to give too much. They kind of know that they're a bit more balanced and won't see as much aggression early on until they really get the feel for each other. As they're still quite spread out here. They haven't quite committed that spike to anywhere as of yet. Control. Stike just waiting around this corner, waiting for an opportunity to open up this round. There's counter also with a rotate round towards the B side. It's only the Sova on that side for now. Henny just waiting for this smoke to dissipate before they commit that flash around the corner. They will do just that, catching caught in the teleport though, but it doesn't even matter because Pavlovsky's just quicker. Deals with Jay, Gogs finds Henny at the same time, and we are finding ourselves in a 4 versus 4 scenario. The scale's fully balanced. And eventually they have decided to commit that spike towards B. The rotate has came round, there's only 2 members on side, so if they can get in there quick and bring some of that aggression and find out what is happening, they will be able to potentially set up and execute here. Crab through the wall there, sends the recon drone, gets enough of the information but can't land any shots through the wall bang situation. A very common angle to hold. Attacker Killjoy will go down, that'll force them out though, but counter will find Aki first before they're forced out of that situation. Another one for counter, and eventually they will be felled. Sarah Frags though will find Crab, and we're in a 2 versus 1 situation, but it doesn't matter because there is just too much happening on side for Granny Knockers. They take another round on Ascent. Really
well played for Granny Knockers there. Sarah Frags popping that lockdown though just to defend the site and make sure that they were going to secure the round, but that's just not how it played out. Granny Knockers eventually coming out victorious there. Played it a little slower, lost that pick outside of A main at the start. That was a bit sad for them. But then once they rotated back round to B, the rest of the team hadn't rotated. They were all just staying there on B. That Killjoy is basically just going to be locked down on this site. Counter, held stairs brilliantly there. Same with their Sova, using that Odin recon wallbang strat just to keep distance.
Yeah, it didn't matter. They had the lockdown down. They were like, yeah, you know what? We're not even going to get to the point where it actually goes off. We're going to kill you all before it happens. Sarah Frags though opens up this round. It's counter dealt with. Sheriff in hand for AK and can't quite land the shots. The flash will come around the corner. Gog still comes out top. Anyway, he finds himself the double kill. AK and Henny stopped in their tracks before they can get anywhere near A. And another one. Stike this time finds Tiny. We're in a 2 versus 4 scenario. Still in favour of Granny's Knockers. They are currently in lead in the fixture and inside this particular round. The spike in hand though for Pavlovsky, so has an opportunity to start this clutch up, but not really wanting to push anything as of yet, just waiting for the pressure to come and waiting for Granny's Knockers to maybe just overpeak, see if they can get a free one back. Sarah Frags is now rotated round to join their comrades, so they can start up with this retake of the site and see if they can try something, but 40 seconds on the clock, plenty of time to work with. And cross angle though is what is in front of them. They have to try and push through this and make sure they check the corners. Yeah, the smoke will go out and at least deny some intel. They're going to have to peek straight through that. Stike with a flick and Gogs with the second one. Defenders of Granny's Knockers, they take another round. It's 4-1 on Ascent so far.
Yeah, Granny's Knockers utilising those dark covers really well. Just putting down smokes, just waiting them up, time out. The Control Esports just, not really having that power to go through. They've got their ults up now though, so do Granny's Knockers. They've got their Killjoy lockdown. They've got the From the Shadows. Just maybe do a little bit of recon or rotating back round, mainly on defense is what that's used for. And we've also got the null command from the KO that's going to be able to shut down any shenanigans that Control Esports might be having.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Speaking of shenanigans, we got off to a very quick start. Gogs finds Henny. As at the same time as another trade on the other side. It's a 4 versus 4 within the first 30 seconds. Gog's pulling back a little bit, not want to commit to that because they know that that is where they're floating around. As the attackers set things up, the spike is in hand and it looks as though they are committed to that E side push. Gogs though can't quite land the shots into Sarah Frags, who does indeed frag out, but will be put into the dirt shortly after, courtesy of an Odin in the hands of Crab. 3 versus 3 now, as they have control of sight. So they can get this spike on the floor should they choose to, but the lockdown from the defender will go down just as it happens, so the retake will be there, the potential for them to get in there and deny that. And they've forced that attack inside of Control all the way back into that deep corner there, so very tricky to try and come back into this Control, and they're going to be forced to, with their back against the wall. Jay dealt with. Tiny finds one. Not the greatest situation to find yourself in though. 2 versus 2 scenarios, so can still go either way. Tiny with the swing out though, counter puts them down, and Pavlovsky has to try and pull this one back in a 1 versus 1 situation. Has brought it down, but they can't land the shots. His counter comes out on top and finishes it off. The diffuser is going to go through. Is it going to be in time though? Is really just a question. It's going to be a nail biter. It's just finishing it off. 3.5 seconds left on the clock. Granny's Knockers, they take another round. 5-1 currently on Ascent.
That is really unfortunate play from Pavlovsky there. I can see exactly what he was trying to do with that Omen. It's just a little bit of tech where if you're sitting in that Killjoy ult and you teleport out just before it pops, and then you cancel it as soon as it triggers, you teleport out and straight back in. So you can be right in the middle of that Killjoy lockdown as it like pops. But the enemies, they think, oh, no one's detained, but no one's inside the area. Yeah, then the Omen's still there.
Okay, see, I'm still learning things, chat. I'm still learning things on the game. Again, this is on my second team casting Valorant, so that's just a learning experience for me as well. But this game, so far, is set up to be just a learning experience for Control, because they're struggling so far. 5-1 on the score line, as they can't quite get the action to work in their favour on this attacker side. Is now they're rotating things around. They haven't quite decided where they want to go. An op in hand here from Jay, misses the shot unfortunately inside of mid though, and Henny goes on the hunt and shuts Jay down before they can even escape that though. The Hunter's Fury will go through the wall. They know exactly where Henny is and they can't quite land it though. 2 goes through, the third one can't find its mark. Henny lucky to escape with their life so far. Stike is blinded out though, and Henny's going to get himself a freebie. You can see their feet, the one-way angle coming in handy there. Counter though, popping underneath and finishes off Henny and brings us to a 3 versus 3 scenario with a minute left on the clock. The recon bolt in hand here from the other side, and they're just going to send it through. Tiny planting down, making sure they get it down. Information was gathered there from Crab, the Odin as well. Sarah Frags is dealt with. Aki with another one. Counter has done so well inside of this fixture so far. Deals with Aki. We're on a 2 versus 2. Tiny onto counter, shuts them down. 1 versus 1. The spike is on the ground. Could really go either way for now. The same scenario Gogs finds themselves in as the last time. Can they clutch this one up? though. Doesn't know where the player is and finds it. Tiny with a quicker flick. Deals with Gogs, and attackers, they're going to win that one out in control. They get their second round on a set, and finally, does it look as though the tides are going to turn a little bit?
Just a little bit. It is good to remember, though, that Ascent is a very defense-sided map.
Yeah.
So, for Granny's Knockers to take this 5-2 lead, it's great. And for Control to get a nice 11 point on the board, brilliant for them. But they're going to need to put in a little bit of work, because as soon as we hit that defensive half, Control are going to need, probably going to be hitting a lot more rounds than they currently are. That round was quite interesting, getting putting so much pressure onto A short, but then ultimately just leaving it as like a fake and then going back round to B, with Crab being the only one to hold it down, the other team members rushing desperately to come and help. Sadly, it was too late.
A lot of utility here committed to that A hold, but it doesn't really matter because Controller is going to bypass all enemies, send it straight deep. The runner back came through, the Iron Henny deals with it before they are felled courtesy of Ake, and it's just a back and forward war of attrition here over the site of A, leaving one member left alive for Granny's Knockers. The spike on the floor, Ake knows where it is, and the head that will be found of Crab, and the attackers of Control, they take another round. That's 2 in a row now, 5-3 on the round.
Very different tempo to what we've been seeing there. That was so fast-paced. Henny popping that runner back, running straight in, finding a pick, just giving so much room for Control to work with, popping onto the site, getting that spike down nice and fast. Just rinsing Granny's Knockers of all their players there.
Yeah. Really well done. Control seem to be warming up a little bit here. Of course, maybe just lagging behind in Granny's Knockers a couple of rounds early on. This is what we wanted though. We wanted a bit more competitive game to come through. Hopefully it continues like this. Immediately in with the aggression though, as Stike wants to slow it down. Wants to make sure that they can't just aggress into A like they did the last time. That is the commitment. It's the same push as last time. They want to all funnel through that one side and towards A. Gogs round the corner though, has an opportunity to play for some upset, just waiting for it though. Henny though pushes forward, Stike doesn't even care about waiting, he's going to swing out and get himself 2. Gogs with another one, Sarah frags though, bites back, takes the life of Stike, with Pawlowski finding Gogs at the same time. The attacker lockdown will go down, and it'll be slow these defenders down, coming back towards the site. The spike now will go down. And that means that we are sitting in a 2 versus 3 scenario. HB not looking too good for Control. It doesn't matter because Sarah Frags just comes out on top towards counter anyway. Crab though wants to be the next one in the crosshairs, but Jay from the side saves the life. It's actually a trade back and forward. The high ground has been established from Pawlowski, just waiting above Jay, doesn't know where to look, dashes through into the smoke there, but Jay comes out on top anyway, pulls it back. Jay, he's going to get this one off on the board for Granny's Knockers.
Great kill from Jay there, just dashing out as he's unaware of where Pawlowski's positioned himself on the site. So using that tailwind into the cloud bus, really common jet play, just as you can dash while you look around while you're dashing, just so you can see a ping on the minimap even if you don't see them.
Yeah.
Just to gain that intel, which is probably huge there, forcing Pawlowski to just reposition, but it was too late as Jay had that advantage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really interesting round there. Using the lockdown as well just to secure it, but it didn't quite go their way.
No, it didn't, and it looks as though they're committed to going for this A side again. They've sent out just the one player towards the other side, though, and a lot of utility will be sent out very quickly, just because, of course, Granny's Knockers, they just try to play to slow it down now. The Bladestorm in hands, and they're not going to go just yet. It's tantalisingly close for the push. Stike though opens up the score. That's Henny felled, and Jay will find Ake at the same time. 3 versus 5 scenario in favour of Granny's Knockers, and they don't even want the smoke. They don't want to push into that E site any longer. Instead, they're going to rotate round towards mid, except from Sarah Frags, who unfortunately thought they were getting up to the sneaky play, but Gogs is wise to it and deals with that before it can even materialise into anything to worry about. Pawlowski as well has moved up towards mid, joined by Crab. As they play together, the drone goes through just to gather as much information as possible. They will spot at least one member before they were themselves spotted out. The recon bolt goes through 2 just to make sure that they have the information that they require on that area of the map. Instead, they're going to have to pull back now. Not really wanting to commit to the fact that there's a double cross angle there, though. Counter's going to find Tiny anyway, and it looks as though they're going to try and lock this one down, but it doesn't happen because Pawlowski is just better in that scenario. 1 versus 4 though. The clutch has to be made. 30 seconds, not great to work with. They have the spike in hand, so they have everything they need to try and make it work. But Granny's Knockers have the man advantage. Team Ace comes through, and Granny's Knockers, they take us on to 7-3 on Ascent.
Yeah, Pawlowski in basically an unwinnable situation there in that 1v4. 2 players on each site. After Gogs used their ultimate from the shadows, just to rotate back onto the B site, just making sure that there's 2 players. Not a lot of time left on the clock for Pawlowski to make a decision. Either push through the spawn or having to rotate back through. Being met with 2 players on a site at a disadvantage either way.
Wasn't ideal. Granny's Knockers have recovered a little bit of form, so looking a little bit better here. It looks as though there's going to be a switch as well. The B side is now the focus. Let's see if they can come out on top this time, control and get a little bit of that form that we've seen that they had discovered for the last few rounds before. They fell down again. Flashes come through. Crab will find Sarah frags and shut them down as they're still trying to force it through this one side though, but another one will ring out. Kills all over the place. Counter finds himself 2 inside of this round, and that's now a 1 versus 3 scenario, 1 versus 4 even. Defenders are going to win it out anyway. It's the sheer war of attrition. The numbers falling all over the place.
Really good positioning from Granny's Knockers there. As soon as they know that paranoia comes in from Pawlowski, they reposition themselves to hold a crossfire. 1 on the button and then 1 in logs. Just holding the angle, so as soon as anyone pushes out, they're going to help each other kill the enemy. Phoenix, really interesting use of the curveball, popping up on top of the orb box, throwing the curveball out the window, which did actually blind Crab, but he was nice and safely tucked in logs, so no one took him out.
Yeah, they give it a try. It's not been quite as successful as we've seen it in the past, and this time they're spread out a little bit more. So they're not committed to any side as of yet. A couple players in mid, a couple players out towards A, and only the lone member for control. Sarah frags out towards B side. Will be met with the other Killjoy in the lobby that has counter this time. Aki finds Gogs though on the other side, and the frags are starting to ring out all over the place, so Hunter's Fury comes through the middle as well, and that kills off Crab. And now in control, they have a foothold inside of this round, the 1 versus 4 situation for Counter, who has been so good so far throughout the day. So we'll see if they can bring this one in and get a clutch and get them to the 9-3, or do they even want 9-3, because of course, do they want a 9-3 curse? That's the issue, eh?
Yeah.
Spike down though. And just as the words leave my mouth, I was about to start and say something. But yeah, Tiny just takes Counter right out of the round. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think Control took a different approach to that round. Last round and a half, had 2 ults to spare, and instead of waiting to passively use that Hunter's Fury on a post plant, Tiny said, no, I'm just going to use it to see if I can find some kills, and that's exactly what he did. He found 2 with that Hunter's Fury. Only 3 shots, 2 kills. Very impressive stuff.
It certainly was. First half though, Granny's Knockers, they are in control, 8-4, and that means that we switch sides with the advantage in their lap. Pistol round now coming through this time. Attackers now, of course, and on the Granny's Knocker side, and of course you mentioned it yourself, it is a defender side map, so I'm not too surprised at the way it's set up.
Yeah, just heading into this round now, we've got Granny's Knockers now just slowly approaching A main. They've seen that one-way smoke come down. Pawlowski's just positioned himself nice and safely back in wine. Hopefully trying to dodge the owl drone that hasn't scanned him. He's going to get a paranoia.
Pawlowski, he pulls out with 1 but can't quite connect with the second as Jay found Henny on the other side, and it's a back and forward now that boils into a 4 versus 2 situation as Tiny's found himself a double kill as Pawlowski still in this position, has the spike down in front of them. The recon bolt will be sent out there. Crab doesn't know how close that person is on the other side of the smoke there. Sarah Fragzo will find Counter, and Crab now in a 1 versus 4 scenario. The pressure's there, they know exactly where he is, and they're going to swing out and finish that one off Control. They take the first round on their defense.
Matter of time, Crab just waiting in that smoke. They're waiting for the inevitable. Only 10 HP, 1 shot from death. 3 players approaching. Just tried to find a kill with that right click, but couldn't find it. That was a great round though, just from Granny Knockers. Really, they looked like a strong start outside A main, knowing what they were doing, but Pawlowski's position back into wine there, using that paranoia to find those first 2 kills was fantastic, and just secured the round for Control there.
Yeah, really well done. Really good start to that half. So now in a good position to at least bring some momentum into the rest of this half for now. Jay on the hop up here just to make sure they can get a little bit of a boost and see if they can get an angle here. Henny on the other side, just holding this longer angle, waiting for anyone to peek round into that doorway. A little bit of a slower start here as Granny's Knockers are all playing together. Henny will find Crab and will be rewarded for the patience in holding that angle. That's the opening kill inside of this round though, and sends a curveball round to try and flash out anyone there. Knows where the plant is going down but can't quite land the shots just to deny it. They will go down on the right hand side there. Knew that there was someone inside that smoke there, and now we'll send out as much utility as possible to get all that information to try and figure out where it's went down for Granny's Knockers. But Stike will find Pawlowski, slows it down. Pistol in hand there, not enough as Henny comes out on top versus Jay. Counter still downstairs waiting for an opportunity. Will find one, looking for two. He does find two, but this third one is not there. Thrifty round will come through anyway because Stike finishes it off, and Granny's Knockers, they go 9-5 on Ascent.
Excellently played from Granny's Knockers there. Even though they're at the disadvantage, they make the absolute most of it. Repositioning themselves under hell there, managing to find a couple cheeky kills there. Counter, that was brilliant, using that classic to your advantage. Best way you can, just making sure you're taking those close encounters, waiting for those players to drop off heaven, meeting them face to face, only a foot away.
Yeah, really well done, and props to Granny's Knockers for that one. So, they're still in a good position for now, still in the driver's seat inside of Ascent, but Control are nipping at their heels. They've had a few flashes, and we'll see if they can continue with a couple of them. Aki just holding the position towards B site, just waiting for anyone to come around that corner. No one's going to oblige as of yet though. Everyone's standing still on Granny's Knocker's side. They're not wanting to move, just going to let the time tick down and see if they can invite a little bit of pressure instead this time. Now, the call to action has happened, as they're going to converge towards mid. Pawlowski is the only one inside of mid for now that could put an aggress into it as a pistol in hand, the classic nonetheless. And nothing is going to happen as of yet. Oh, is that just a peppering through the wall there that I see from Rodent? There's a couple of licks of damage onto the Jet, but it's not enough to finish them off. Henny still poised for a bit of a gunfight inside of mid now, and eventually the pressure will come through. Crab comes out on top versus Pawlowski, and one member has dropped out from Control. Henny's just there to slow this down, and as the pressure starts to mount, as Granny's Knockers start to steamroll through, Crab will find Tiny, can counter with another one, knows where to look, and just about caught out there. Instead will get aggressive there. Aki puts him in the dirt anyway. Stike with a double kill to finish it off, and Granny's Knockers, they go into 10 rounds to 5.
Granny's Knockers realising that the best approach is the aggressive one, as they are pushing so confidently through Garden there. Only using a little bit of util, that KO knife just to suppress the Omen. Pawlowski just can't get away, can't teleport out of that corner. So that shock bolt and the fragment grenade come in and just wipe him out entirely. Just allowing such clean entry onto the A site there.
Yeah, it's been an interesting game, to say the least. For now, good position for both teams to try and win this one out. Pretty much goodbyes. Coming through, Jay, gonna get aggressive as ever, sending it all the way through toward B side there. Manages to dodge past it, just straight into the gun. Oh, Pawlowski's Tiny finds one down to Crab as well at the same time, and it's back and forward. The aggression through B doesn't pay off for Granny's Knockers. They're gonna have to pull back a little bit. The run it back did come through, and we'll see if it can get anything from it. Zaki has an operator with someone's name on it. The lineup is just waiting for him to come round the corner. Misses the shot onto Counter, who's got even more aggressive and stuck all the way up. And Aki, though, from the other side, he'll find it up with the operator. Eventually does land that shot. Control there in the driver's seat for this round. It's a 4 versus 2 with Pawlowski and Henny just together on this other side. Stike will find Pawlowski, and that means that we're in a 2 versus 3 scenario. So one clawed back at least. Purple round the corner. Stike though faster on the flick onto Henny. 2 versus 2. And this is it falling apart a little bit here. Granny's Knockers, they're in a decent position to pull this back. Stike with the plant down. Aki with the rotate round towards the site. We're in a retake situation now. The suppression does come through, and that'll slow them down for now. As it's sitting in just in behind that boathouse for now, waiting for an opportunity to swing out. Sarah frags though, will find Stike, and that slows it down, puts him down for now. Gogs just waiting around the corner. It's Stike still down on the ground. Gogs maybe go for a little bit of rotate around behind. Doesn't know how far Control have actually pushed all the way up. They went deep there now. The position will be given away because Serafax confirms the kill. Gogs from behind will find Aki, but the plant is just a little bit too late. Gonna have to stick it here. Pros don't fake. Are they gonna go through it? No. They're gonna have to come off and just go for the gunfight anyway. They can't get the defuse off. Gogs comes out on top anyway. The clutch from Granny's Knockers. They come from a 2-4 deficit to win that one out. 11-5 there in the round count.
Insanely well played from Granny's Knockers there. Just as you mentioned, in that 4v2 scenario, they had to make their mind up as to what they were going to do. I think they realised that there were a couple players on A still that they hadn't encountered that round. So being able to pick off one, on the outside B, and then head in to find Henny just alone, popping the flash, and yeah, just whiffing it. Really unfortunate for Henny there, which gave away the site, and Gogs just repositioning themselves really well in that final clutch 1v2 situation.
Henny though, getting aggressive here, curveball around the corner, and the Sheriff in the hand, can't land anything as of yet though, chilling out, hot hands, sends it deep. Doesn't quite catch anyone or displace anyone. Jay though flicks around to find the head of Sarah Fragzone, looking for a second one, does find it. Aki though at the other side, the Bladestorm will find the Crab, as Jay now just aggressing in towards the B side. Is Tiny though will win it out using the Sheriff, and there's just too many players there for Aki to deal with. Counter just pounces on them and leaving control in a 2 versus 3 scenario, as they now just try to sweep together through this map. There, it looks like they're heading for A, and control are wise to get the heaven position has been established. So the recon boat will go out and it will be destroyed before it can find any information. The spike goes deep to get this plant down. And they'll just make sure they can cover this off. The spike, it will go down. Successfully planted. And now the post-plant situation has been established. The retake has to be performed with control, with nothing but 2 Sheriffs. A little bit of a dream here for Control to try and pull this one back. But we've seen it on the other side for Granny's Knockers, so can they come up with solutions? It looks as though for now they're not able to. 7 HP for Tiny, not the best situation to find yourself in, and just an unfortunate timing there as Counter will come out on top versus Tiny, and a second one to finish it off. The attackers of Granny's Knockers, they take themselves onto match point for this map.
Yeah, an aggressive start to that round from Control, just pushing out into mid, taking that space, aggressively entering tile. Sarah Frags finds the first death of the round, and it just wasn't enough for them.
Yeah.
Granny Knockers able just with the gun advantage to find those kills. Aki especially getting that double kill at the start, rotating back round to A for a nice easy plant. But we do need to remember that this was Control Esports' pick.
Yeah, it was.
So they are on the side of defense now. That's not looking too hot.
Oh, Aki starting things up there with the operator, sends it straight into the chest of Stike. Starts things up aggressively, straight into the Bladestorm as well, Jay. Trying to just rotate around, so something. No, Tiny. That's a misplay, unfortunately, for Jay. That just misses the shots using the Bladestorm. The attacker Killjoy will go down, and Tiny has a tiny amount of space to get themselves out of it. Only just been able to stay inside. His Counter, though, doesn't care about leaving them there. We'll finish them off. Granny's Knockers, they don't quite have the man advantage, but they have the advantage because in the site, as they're able to get the plant down. The retake here for Control is poised to occur in a few seconds. The wall will go up. Flash comes through as well into Crab, and Sarah Frag gets aggressive. They're not going to invite it. They're not going to waste their time. They're going to go straight in for it and try and come out on top there. Back and forward as Counter finds 2 and looks to try and keep this one on the board. Another one looking for it, and a third for an ace. It's going to come through from Counter. Wins it out for Granny's Knockers. 13-5. What has just happened?
What a fantastic way to win the first map. Well played Counter with that ace. Fantastic stuff.
Sweaty stuff to finish it off. That was ridiculous. Their Counter just held on for dear life. Flicks and finishes it off. I was saying it was going to be 1, and it was going to be 2, then I was at 3, and then suddenly it's an ace. They finished it off. What a round that was. I can't imagine what the scenes would have been downstairs for that round.
Oh, I can imagine.
But first round, first map even, Ascent, it does go towards Granny's Knockers. They win that one out. Fracture's going to be the second one, and it's going to be a little bit interesting though. I think it's a little bit of a strange one, because of course it's a strange pick that we've taken in anyway. So and it's Granny Knockers' pick, and they've just won on Ascent. Yeah. So the mental for Control will be a little bit shaky, I think.
And they're heading into they're just heading into their pick.
Yeah.
And with how dominant they looked in this game, especially against Control, it was their pick on Ascent. We were expecting a little bit more, but Granny's Knockers are really.
They really put up a performance.
Contenders here.
They really did, and they've shown that throughout the tournament. They've shown moments of brilliance, and I think at the end of the day, I think that they may edge this one. I think, especially going on to Fracture, being their map pick. We mentioned that a few times, but we're not going to keep you waiting too long. We're going to get a very quick break just before we get moving to that last map. So we'll throw it over 5 minutes, and then we'll see you back. Bye bye.